Alrighty, Fuzz Club. We're talking about Rocky's Pride and Joy and their September album called All the Colors of Darkness. Like I said, it came out in September on Electric Valley Records. And this one was a new one to me. I must have missed this one, but I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm pretty excited to talk about it a little bit. But small group here today, but we'll go around anyway. And you can introduce yourselves as if we haven't done that 1,000 times already. But we'll let you start off, Aawks.
We are the band. Well, we are 2/3 of the band Aawks. Randy here, in front of my hand, and Kris.
Ben.
Ben, aka Benriz, from the bands Lost Dutchman and Southern Gate.
Awesome. So, Kris, it might have been you or maybe Ryan from Black Throne Productions that suggested this one. I must have missed this one in September. I didn't know about it until you guys suggested it, and I don't know how I missed it because I loved it and everyone else in the group loved it, and now I'm starting to see it on some year-end lists and whatnot. So this one kind of slipped under the radar, I think.
Yeah, Ryan sent it to me when he was reviewing it, and then I don't think I actually looked at it for a week or two, and then I don't remember. I think it was somewhere on Instagram, maybe something popped up, and I heard just a snippet, and I was like, that sounds kind of cool, and I checked it out, and then I think I had to go do something for work or something, and I forgot what it was, but I said, hey, Ryan, I think it was that album you sent me. So I had to go back through my texts and ask him a bunch of times. And then when he sent it to me, I was like, thank God, because, man, this album was fucking killer. And
yeah,
I think they got like 15 or something that month on the Doom charts. But
that's good. Yeah, that's good.
To me, it's my album of the year so far. Absolutely. Like, as far as like replayability and just so many other cool factors we can get into, like, I dig it.
Yeah, I did too. And I think that when we were kind of talking about it in the Fuzz Club group chat, that someone had mentioned Rickshaw Billies, and I was like, okay, I can kind of see that in the vocals or whatever a little bit. And then I don't know if they mentioned the band like in their description or something, or someone else mentioned Electric Wizard, and I was like, oh, there it is. Yeah, for sure. Like, it's kind of this combination of the two a little bit, where it's not as just like heavy, like just like weighty as Electric Wizard, but it's definitely got that sound to it that almost goes into more melodic places than maybe Electric Wizard does, and it's definitely got those things though. It did remind me a lot of those things as mentioned.
I definitely thought there were shades of Electric Wizard there, vocally and kind of like with the guitar tone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's got more hooks and more kind of catchiness than Electric Wizard, and shorter, kind of gets to the point, a little bit less bombastic. But I would say kind of like that band Wizard Master. I don't know if you guys know them. Combination of Electric Wizard, Wizard Master, a little bit of even on the slow song. There's kind of a mellow track that reminded me of that band Low. I don't know if you guys know the band Low. They were like husband and wife. They were a 3-piece, but the husband and wife, she played drums and he sang, or actually they both sang and did beautiful harmonies. So there was stuff that was kind of all over the map, not just doom and not just stoner stuff, but yeah, man, I like the variety of sounds on it.
Yeah. So they did send a really nice video for us to give us some background on the album, and we can check that out now. It's they give a lot of information on everything, so let's check it out and see where we want to talk about next after that.
Pride and Joy, and we're here to talk about our debut album, All the Colors of Darkness, which is out now on Electric Valley. My name is Brenton. I play guitar and sing. You are?
I forgot my name for it. Dom, I play bass.
I'm Jessie. I play the drums.
Yeah.
And this is Lula.
Oh,
she's not happy.
Come on. That's Lula, the secret member. So yeah, I mean, I guess we'll just talk a bit about the album.
I'll go for it, yeah. I guess during the period of writing the album, really refining everything, I was listening to a lot of Black Spell and Mephistopheles, probably the two. Wrote the lyrics for So Said the Roach, and we also sort of collaboratively, I can't say the word, that word, we came together to flesh it out. But that song in particular is one I love, and yeah.
Cool. Okay.
What are we talking about?
The songs.
Yeah, it's...
Well, you wrote the lyrics for Tunnel Vision, so...
I did, yeah. Yeah, so we all had a crack at writing on this album, myself included. I wrote the lyrics and melody for Tunnel Vision. And Brenton pretty much wrote the lyrics for every other track on the album. So if you're wondering why maybe things sound a little bit different track to track, that could be a reason why.
I think it's pretty cohesive though,
Yeah.
despite that change of writers. But
Yeah, I think we all have our sort of unique things and little spins we like to put on, especially like concepts for lyrics and stuff like that, but they all sort of cohesively come together, and I think that shows on the album.
Yeah, this is the guitar that I use pretty much on the whole thing. It's just a Gibson SG, just a standard old Gibson SG, but I've had it for a long time. And that thing is amazing, so that's what you're hearing on like most of it, and just, well, like 5 different fuzz pedals and different things going on.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think we all sort of... Sorry, go straight. Yeah, it was recorded pretty much live, with a few sort of additional guitar parts.
Yeah, a few like guitar overdubs,
Yeah,
some extra layers.
yeah,
But all the takes, all the takes that we did live are on the album. We kept everything that was done in the live room and then just added to that, which gives the album a sound.
We recorded it at a studio called Twin Earth Recording Studios in Summerton Park, which is in Adelaide. We're in Adelaide, South Australia. I don't know where this podcast is based, but maybe you're in Adelaide too. I don't know, but that's where we are right now. And that's where it was recorded. However, it was mastered in the UK by Super Audio Mastering. Simon Hayworth did it.
Whose name we saw on the back of the Electric Wizard album and thought, that's the guy.
That's the guy, yeah. Yeah.
it's kind of like strange talking to people who are not our family and friends. So the albums are reaching out,
We recorded about 4 tracks of the album initially in October of last year. That's when we thought that we would be releasing an EP. And then we received a record deal for an album, and that required us to continue writing and come up with the other songs that were on the album. So there was probably a 6-month period between recording the first half and then recording the second half.
And writing the second half in that 6 months.
Yeah, so we, a couple of the tracks we've had for a really long time. I mean, not a really long time. We've been playing gigs for almost 3 years as a band.
Yeah.
We sort of came together midway through 2020. But the first round of songs that we recorded when we initially thought it was going to be an EP were... Crawl, which is actually the first song we ever wrote.
Yeah. Pure Evil also in
Pure
that
Evil.
session, and Revenge is the one. Actually, we did Your Hell in that first session too, but we scrapped it and did it again the second time around because we weren't happy with it how it came out. So, but yeah, I guess gear-wise, but besides the SG, you can't really see it, but behind us is this 80s Tama kit, like a mid-80s Tama drum kit that Jesse and I bought off a Facebook Marketplace for like $500 or something, I don't know. I think the secret to our sound is that all of our gear is really cheap. I have this, you also probably can't really see it too well, that's an orange Super Crush 100, cost like $900 or something, it's like so cheap. And yeah, all the pedals, this $40 Behringer pedal that everyone knows is one of the best ever, is like all over the album, it's everywhere. So that's a little bit of it, more pedals and stuff, but it's all pretty simple. We just play it and...
Oh yeah, boys. Every track is recorded with this Jackson Spectre. And then yeah, very simple setup of pedals.
You have a little tone secret, I reckon. I don't know if you,
I don't
know if you want to say what it is, but I know what it is.
I'm not going to reveal it.
But it's something that I haven't particularly seen a bass player do very much of. And it's working, so...
Yeah, I mean...
10 points if you can work out what that tone secret is on the bass. Who knows?
I do, well... It's probably not even that big of a...
No, you should keep it to
Yeah,
yourself.
okay. Oh, I thought I'd just like throw in a little fun fact, but when we first played, well, our very first gig, things got a bit wild with COVID, obviously, and Adelaide turned into Footloose, so we had to play a seated show with no dancing or moving, which was super weird.
Yeah.
And that continued for a bit, actually. Also, we got to the stage of people could stand up but not move.
Not allowed to dance.
Yeah, that
Not
was
allowed to
also
hold a
bizarre.
drink.
No drinks.
Not allowed to hold a drink, but you could stand there.
It was a strange time to play. A weird time to start playing shows as a band, because when people are sitting at a show, I feel like they pay more attention to you actually playing.
Yep.
And then you have to play well because they're not drinking and they're not mingling and talking and stuff. They're just sitting there watching you. So it's kind of a weird thing to start playing shows that way, I guess. But
It was very weird, but glad we had moved on. That's for sure.
Yes.
Kind of felt like I was playing to my parents in high school.
yeah, at school assembly.
At school, yeah. Yeah.
Anything else? What do we got here?
Any other...
What are our future plans?
Well, coming up, we're going to Melbourne to play a show. If you're in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, then come along at the Cactus Room November 3rd. Got some cool bands in Melbourne playing with us there as well.
And then we're playing with Dozer.
And then we're playing with Dozer from Sweden coming up like the very next night after Melbourne as well, which is going to be awesome. And then we've got a big show in November as well.
It's just main thing is now that the album's out, we just want to play
gigs.
Play as many gigs as we can.
We've been really pleasantly surprised with the feedback that we're getting, particularly from overseas. We're pretty isolated in Australia, being so far away from everywhere else, and the scene for our music is not particularly massive, certainly not in our city anyway. So we've been able to connect with a lot of really cool people that have been so supportive of this being our first album, and
Really awesome.
yeah, we're just loving hearing from people in different parts of the world and telling us, what they think of what we're doing, and
Keep it up.
yeah,
It's great.
We hope to
We love it.
come over there sometime.
come over where?
By over there, I mean.
Anywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah, hope to see the world.
Yeah, we hope to see the world.
Wherever you happen to be in the world. We'll get there.
We will get there one day, I feel.
Yeah. We haven't started writing really anything else yet. Just gonna kind of ride the wave a little bit. Got a couple of ideas, but
got some riffs.
Where
some basic sketches and things, but
yeah,
nothing solid.
Oh, maybe we could talk about like the album cover, maybe.
Well, that was your idea.
Yeah. Okay. So,
I just had a vision.
I had this really clear vision of what I sort of imagined the album cover to look like. I think in this genre of music, we often see really dark imagery and dark colors, I guess. But in my mind, I was imagining something a bit brighter, I guess is the word. But what I really was imagining was, like a house that looked really bleak and kind of haunted, but in the middle of the day.
Things can be scary in the daytime and haunted in the daytime, and
like a no escape sort of feel, I guess.
No escape,
like from the evil.
Yeah. But I had this idea in mind, and I took it to the boys, and they were really supportive of the idea. So we went and basically started scouting some locations. So South Australia is a very vast place, and there's a lot of desert. We don't live near the desert, but it doesn't take long to drive out there. So we cruised around and, tried to find some places. And on the way, we stopped at a really old mining town called Kadina, which is supposed to be the most haunted town in South Australia. And we went through a antique store, and Dom's girlfriend has this like app that detects.
It's like a ghost finder.
It's like a ghost finder, yeah. Anyway, so we were all just kind of hanging out in this store, and I gravitated towards this book that I just kind of felt the need to buy. So I took that home with me, and anyway, later on that day, we found the house that we thought was perfect. It's like in an old farm ruins. Anyway, when we were thinking about the album title, we couldn't really land on anything. I think we kind of all collectively decided we didn't want it to be self-titled, and we didn't really want it to be the name of one of the songs on the album.
Needed like a standalone title of some sort.
Yeah.
And anyway,
we had a few variations of some different things, but nothing stuck.
Yeah, nothing was really sticking. But I was flicking through this book again that I bought, and there was a chapter in there called All the Colors of Darkness. So that's kind of how we got the name. It sort of suited the album artwork perfectly, I think.
And all that,
and
just the vibe
the music
of it.
and the vibe.
Yeah, it just really tied it together in a weird way.
Yeah.
It sums it all up.
Yeah.
Nicely.
It does. And
I have no idea how long we've been talking for.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I think we talked
no way.
Holy shit, 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's right, we can cut it.
Okay.
Or we don't cut it, and this is much more than you bargained for, but...
Look, you can pick and choose what you want from this, yes.
Truly, yeah.
But thank you for
listening.
And yeah, it's just awesome to see people caring. Like, simple as that is. It's like people like it, and people are liking it enough to reach out to us. So it's,
yeah, hell yeah.
Sweet.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Can we get a your hell yeah?
All right. That was an awesome video. So thanks to Rocky's Pride and Joy for that. And as I was saying that, I realized I should have asked where the name Rocky's Pride and Joy came from, because I'd really like to know, actually.
Same. We were saying that during the video.
We're like, any moment now, we're going to hear it and we're going to be like, ah!
Yeah. I mean, we got to hear about where the album title came from, which was cool, but Rocky's Pride and Joy is an odd name. And whenever I've shown this album to anyone in the last like week or two, that's the first thing they always say is like, what? What's it called? Rocky's Pride and Joy?
I thought initially this was one of like your posts, you know, like it's one of those like ridiculous albums or whatever, and I'm like, Ryan, are you pulling my leg, bro? And then I'm like, no, this is actually a deal, and I'm pleasantly surprised first listen too. Yeah.
I think that's how Rocky Erickson spelled his name, right? ROKY. I wonder
is
if
that
that's
how they spell it?
Yeah, I was wondering if that's something to do with Rocky Erickson.
I didn't even pay attention.
No, it's CK. They spell it with a CK.
CK.
Oh, they spell it with a CK?
Yeah.
It's Rockies.
Oh, okay.
Wow, good job.
It'd be cooler if they did.
The other thing that I just wanted to mention was that they kind of mentioned it a couple times that, well, for one, we're not based in Australia, but we are based all over the place, which she kind of mentioned how it's cool. You know, they're kind of isolated there and getting out in front of more people in different places. And that's what makes this podcast really cool, is that we're all from different places. None of us are in the same place. And, you know, having Canada and the South and the Midwest and everywhere else, like, so I thought that was cool, just that they kind of brought it up a little bit, and they had no idea where we were from, but it's definitely not Australia and basically everywhere else. So I thought that was awesome anyway.
It might be cool to get one of them on an episode or something.
Yeah, we might have to do it at like 10 p.m. my time, but maybe. I had Dr. Colossus. Do you guys know Dr. Colossus? They're from Australia. They're like kind of Simpsons themed doom.
That's hilarious.
It's awesome. It's great. Like it's not corny music. It's really good, but it's kind of based around the Simpsons, and they're from Australia. I had them on like a year ago or something, more than a year ago now.
Drop us a link in the group chat, man.
I will. Yeah, they're awesome if anyone else wants to check them out. But I remember trying to record that one, and I don't remember if I had to do it at like 8 a.m. my time, or if it was like super late at night my time. I don't remember, but it was like it was a struggle for me. I think I was like really early in the morning, and I had to drink some coffee during the podcast. But yeah, anyway.
Now, after watching that video, it was one thing already, the album itself. It kind of feels like in this genre of music and this type, it's a chocolate chip cookie. You know, you can have it all the time and it's good and consistent, and it's tasty. But after meeting them, I just want to hug them and squeeze them and have a glass of milk if I was allowed dairy, and like they're too adorable. And you saw, right? Like they're at the moment, they're basically the Australian version of us, with one short-haired guy and two long-haired, blonde-haired who plays drums. I'm like, oh my God, it's my family.
For sure. I did notice that a little bit. Yeah. And they seem very cool. And it's cool getting to know the people behind some of this music too, because especially when it's like, you know, sometimes pretty brutal music or some really heavy stuff, and then you read the people behind them, and you know, they're awkward and they don't want to be on camera and they don't know what to say. And it's just like, it's cool to meet people.
We always found that like some of the nicest people in the world are like the meanest looking metalheads. Like with this exterior of like, you know, don't talk to me. But then after like an hour, they're the nicest people you've ever met. Yeah,
exactly. So they mentioned a lot in that video. So I just made it a couple notes as we were kind of going through it. The first stuff being kind of the gear stuff. So, you know, just even on the last couple episodes, we've talked about equipment and, you know, cheap equipment versus expensive equipment, and if you can tell the difference and if it's worth it and that kind of stuff. And they made like particular mention of using cheaper equipment and stuff. And I thought that was interesting. And 5 different fuzz pedals they mentioned, and a lot of cheap gear. Do you guys have any thoughts on that, the musicians here?
Well, don't shock me that you can get good stuff out of cheap equipment. I mean, tones in the hands, according to the old heads. So I mean, with that being said, you could spend $3,000 on a guitar and you get the same results out of a $150 one. I mean, I'm oversimplifying there, but yeah, I mean, you know, if your riffs are trash, it's going to shine. You know.
Yeah.
That orange pedal that he held up, it's a Behringer Super Fuzz 300. Mm-hmm. They're like, I got mine for $19.99, brand new from Sweetwater on sale. Yeah. And it's all over our first album. and I've recommended that pedal to 1 million people because it's so cheap, and it's the bargain basement version of the Boss FZ2 that that Electric Wizard used, made famous. The one I think I mentioned in the last podcast that was originally like $50, and now because of demand, it's gone up to like hundreds of dollars.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
inflating it.
What's that?
It's just inflating it. And it's the same deal that happened with the Digitech Bad Monkey, the guy that owns JHS. He has a podcast, and he also has like a weekly YouTube program. He had gone on there and he reviews like inexpensive things and hopes maybe to kind of shine a light on something that's been overlooked. And inherently, he's kind of to blame for that and a couple of other pedals kind of going up in price, you know?
Yeah, I saw that. I followed that whole thread. That was hilarious.
The other thing they mentioned,
1 week it's $100, the next week it's $500.
Yeah. They mentioned that they recorded all of this live. Was that surprising to anyone here? Did that the kind of the vibe that you felt going into it, or?
Yeah, I mean, it had a loose kind of feel in some ways, but it was cohesive and really tight. And that's one thing I said to Randy. I was like really impressed with the feel and the pocket of the album. I feel like it, I wasn't distracted by anything feeling wonky in playing it all. It sounded solid. I really like the timbre.
Sounded rehearsed.
Yeah. The fuzz sounds great. Everything sounds mixed really nicely.
Yeah.
I love the sound of the vocals.
To that point, I think they mentioned maybe it was mastered by, I might have missed that part, but they found basically on the back of an Electric Wizard album. Is that what they've mentioned?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I mean, we had already mentioned Electric Wizard already, in this podcast, even before listening to that video. But the fact that they just kind of looked them up and were like, "Hey, you want to do this?" It's pretty rad.
Yeah,
I like that determination. It's like, we like these guys. Let's get these guys. Get them the guys. Do it.
So they mentioned
like Garney from High Desert Queen, who's been on here a bunch. Kind of did the same thing when I talked to him when his album was coming out. Is you listen to some of those Dozer records and Greenleaf albums and stuff, and it's got Carl Daniel Leiden, I think is his name, all over it. And they just went straight to the source. They said, "Hey, we got to have you, mix this album or whatever." And that's how it's done. You got to get that sound from the right person, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, that's a whole art form unto itself. I tried my hand at mixing for a bit, and I do not have a desire or motivation to ever do it again. It's maddening.
Yeah.
For me, anyway.
I feel your pain on that, man. I had a hand in my EP, and I don't want to do that again anytime soon. And that was a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah.
See, and that's nice that it saw the light of day. Yes.
Oh, yeah. I had a blast doing it. It just was really involving. I hope y'all have listened to it. No worries.
He scrapped every last second of what he did.
Hated
it never saw the light of day. All that work.
I mean, the time for the studio was expensive, and I couldn't get who I wanted due to a long wait list in every direction. And I'm like, well, how hard could this be? All I'm doing is just making it big to small. I mean, it's the art of compression and making things quieter by making things louder. And it doesn't work out that way. So I understand their need as a band to like send it off to somebody who's like savvy, because that's not something really the average audio file should really be kind of diving into. I mean, just because you know how music should sound doesn't necessarily mean you have the right ear as a musician to be able to mix it yourself. You have to have some grit.
Definitely.
Totally.
Yeah.
They kind of alluded to a secret with the bass sound. Does anyone have any guesses on that? What that was?
Yeah, being an active bass, or
I don't know. No. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't notice anything like unusual about the bass. That was nice, but nothing stuck out to me.
Yeah, I wasn't sure either.
Like, it sounded like maybe straight in the board. I mean, I play bass. It was really tight.
They also mentioned the artwork, and I thought that she had some really interesting points about the artwork, and they didn't share it obviously in the video, so I wanted to just bring it up real quickly. It was interesting, and I did notice that it's a bright album cover. I mean, and then to go into the that being their kind of a vision, with the album title, All the Colors of Darkness, and how you don't see kind of a bright album cover very often and stuff like that. I thought that was cool. What I found on their Bandcamp was Annika Burnside was the cover art and layout. So I don't know if she took the photo, but she did the overall cover. So at least a shout out to Annika Burnside for this work. I thought it was cool, and it does stand out, and I think it looks great, and they found the right image for it and everything. I thought that was really interesting the way she went into that.
That's one thing that they pointed out, which we also noticed, because our first album cover was bright orange, and you get these like reviews or like mass reviews where all the album covers were next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And we could, I don't know if it's just because it was our album or because it was bright orange, but it would stick out because there was black everywhere. And then there'd be like any pops of color you could notice really quickly. So I think if you stuck that in a whole bunch of other album covers in the same kind of stuff that we're doing, it's going to stick out because not too many have that bright blue and a bright brown on them.
Yeah.
It's cool looking cover.
I love it.
I think so too. I mean, it's super simple, but I mean, you get the idea right away. I mean, I don't think that there was any question about how this image connected to All the Colors of Darkness. I mean, I think I got it even before she, started kind of going into it. So I think it does the trick anyway, at least.
It reminded me of that one Goat Snake album, and it immediately pulled me in just based off the cover. I'm like, oh, I'm going to dig this. I don't know why I felt that, but it definitely maybe similar angle to the building or something, or in the font that they use. But y'all are definitely right about the bright colors on that. That's genius.
Yeah. All right. I wrote down this one part, and we talk about a lot of times in Doom and some of this music, there's a lot of samples being used, and we've talked about it a few times, stuff that I think even Aawks, you guys have used and whatnot. And there was a sample in the song Pure Evil, and it was from the movie Detroit Rock City. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Detroit Rock City, but it's one of my favorite movies ever. It's hilarious. It's about these kids that are trying to go to a Kiss concert in Detroit. It's fucking hilarious, and it's a great movie. But what I thought was so interesting was that it's from a comedy movie. And like, you wouldn't know that by hearing the sample. I mean, it sounds like one of those unknown, B-rate horror movies from, some obscure thing. But I knew just because I love that movie. But I just thought that was really funny that they use a comedy movie that sounds evil as shit. I mean, she's literally talking about how things are pure evil and stuff in that song. So I just thought that was cool.
Jeremiah Bruce, you just want to reach right out and touch evil in the flesh.
Yeah. I thought that was awesome. So I don't know. Anything else about this album that you guys want to bring up? I know we all loved it, and a lot of people in the Fuzz Club that didn't make it tonight loved it. So shout out to Rocky's Pride and Joy for making this album. I think it flew under the radar, unfortunately, and I'm glad that they're getting some recognition, and they seem to be pretty happy with the attentions that it's gotten. But the people that have heard it have all been like, "Oh, this fucking rules! One of my favorite this year." So hopefully this podcast will bring a few new listeners to it.
Yeah, I hope so. I think they deserve a lot more audience, and like I'd like to see them make a bit of a tour up here if they ever possibly could, or us down there. It would be pretty wicked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hoping next band meeting, I'm going to vote that we be Rocky's Pride and Joy of Canada. That's got a ring to it, right? I think the three of us matching the three of them, we can just make like joining Christmas cards and stuff and like family photos.
I just want to play a show with them. They look like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Totally feel the same way. One thing we thought was interesting when they mentioned they were from Adelaide, is that right?
Yep.
Which is 7 hours from where Orb is from, that other band we were talking about.
That other band.
So it's funny how they're so close.
If I had $1 for every time we've talked about Orb.
Maybe one day we're playing Orb on.
Well, maybe they should hook up. I think they would be a good combination, actually.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
If you guys watch this episode, I don't know if you guys know the band Orb, but check them out.
Flightless Bird Records.
I have a feeling we might be having a future Fuzz Club on the band Orb, just in case anyone's wondering.
Just want one.
Anyways, yeah, I know, like, I don't have much more to say other than it's a kick-ass album, and I don't tire of listening to it like several times a week. It's a great album.
Yeah.
Shout out to female drummers.
All right, I think that about does it. Everybody go check out Rocky's Pride and Joy. Aawks, do you want to tell everybody what you're up to?
What is that?
We have an EP coming out. The first single from the EP comes out November 17th. And then the rest of the EP comes out December 8th.
Awesome.
We've got 3 or 4 shows left before the end of the year. Check our social media for dates and locations. And then we're going to be starting to record the second album, which is 98.9% written. And we have a new bass player that we're auditioning next week. So I'm excited about that. Hopefully when this episode comes out, he'll be part of the band. Hopefully.
Cool. Awesome.
If not, then sorry, dude.
No.
Ben, what are you up to?
Well, our Lost Dutchman's next EP should be out tentatively about March or April. Same as Aawks. We're about 99% there. Just need to get it in the can so we can get it out to everybody. And at the same time, we'll be hitting our very first tour. So we'll be going on the road with a band called Two in the Chest, and we'll be just doing kind of like the West Coast, dip our feet in the water and just get our name out there. And if you happen to be in the Phoenix area around the time that this one will be coming out, we'll be playing a Doom Fest in Tucson on the Navajo Reservation. So come check us out.
Very cool. All right, everybody. Go check out Rocky's Pride and Joy. We'll see you on the next one.
Later.
Later.